can take your coat off if you want.
George has been missing for days, and I'm waiting for the cops to call me, and
Oh my god.
I've tried to call him many times and just nothing. It's just like he vanished or something. I don't understand. It's so unlike him.
Do you want to postpone this?
No, I need to take my mind off of it for a bit. I just have to have the phone near me in case the cops call.
Of course.
They're looking for him. It's just...
Hey, listen, really, it's okay with me if you want to postpone it. I really understand.
No, let's do this.
Okay, just take a seat and you're ready. Can I get you water, coffee, or anything before we begin?
No thanks. Let's just begin.
Hi, I'm Olivia and welcome to my podcast, California Cold Cases. During the day, I study criminal psychology at UCLA, but at night, I like to wrap my head around unsolved California criminal cases. This season, I will be going over one particular unsolved murder mystery, and to my support, I have Constance Hitchens with me, a Pulitzer Award-winning investigative reporter who is known for her work all over the world. Welcome to this season of California Cold Cases. This is the Hidden Hills Homicides. Hello, Constance, and thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, before we dive into the Hidden Hills homicide case, why don't you start telling us a little bit about yourself? Where are you from, and so on and so on?
Well, I'm originally from Chicago.
The Chi.
And yes, where I was born and raised. After high school, I went to the University of Chicago, where I got my degree in journalism. And after my graduation, I was lucky enough to get a job at the Chicago Tribune, where I wrote for years before I came out west.
And you were working at the Tribune when you won your Pulitzer Prize?
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So, after some time writing a daily column, I got the chance to work on bigger stories as an investigative reporter. And the first story I covered was about a scandal within City Hall, but as you might know, Chicago is unfortunately known for being one of the most corrupt cities in America.
So I read.
And to make a long story short, I just really got into that sort of writing and enjoyed the investigating part of it very much, and therefore got into that kind of journalism. And my award, that you mentioned earlier, I got for writing an article about the Back Bay Butcher in Boston.
Wait, I'm a little bit confused. I thought that the Back Bay Butcher article was written for a Boston newspaper.
No, that story was written for the Chicago Tribune. We covered stories all across the country.
I see. For some reason, I thought you were working at the Boston Globe or something. So you worked at the Trib but traveled all over to cover stories from all around.
Yes.
Now I'm with you. Okay, you're doing great in Chicago, you won some awards for your work and stuff. What brought you to California?
The weather.
Is it that bad back home?
Have you ever been to Chicago in the winter?
No.
It gets cold. Really cold.
I believe you. And you moved out here a couple of years ago, started writing for the LA Times, which you still do, and the case that you are currently working on is called the Hidden Hills Homicides.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that case and what makes it unique?
The Hidden Hills Homicide is an unsolved murder case that took place in the fall of 2012 in the Hidden Hills, which is an exclusive and gated community. It's in the greater Los Angeles area. 3 18-year-old girls and lifelong friends were murdered at the same time, and a fourth friend, who was also with them that night, went missing and was never found.
Wow.
And what I find intriguing about the case, and was one of the parts that the police were never able to solve, is the fact that the Hidden Hills is a gated community. So for someone to get in or get out unnoticed is very difficult. And the fourth friend who went missing that night was the only one who didn't live in that area.
And do you think this means something special?
Well, let's just say that I've learned by experience that those kinds of things are usually not just a coincidence.
So do you think she did it, the fourth one? The outsider?
That's something I can't say for sure. Her blood was also found at the crime scene, just not her body. The LAPD has her listed as a missing person and a possible victim.
That complicates things, doesn't it?
Sure does.
Is it known, or are there any clues why these girls were attacked and killed?
I've just recently started to look into this case, and so far I haven't found anything, and according to all the evidence I've gotten from the police, there's no obvious motive or reason why these girls were targeted.
That's very frightening. I would have thought that women or teenage girls would at least be safe alone in a gated community.
It is frightening, and I agree with what you said. One would have hoped that the world would have been a safe place for all women by now, but somehow here we are.
Can you tell us how they were murdered?
According to the case files, they were stabbed and they bled out to death, but also there was chloroform in their blood, which means they were drugged as well.
Were they found at someone's house or?
No, they were found on a hill early in the morning when a resident in the community was walking his dog, and he saw a coyote going at the bodies.
Oh my God.
It seems that the murderer planned this in the hope of making the whole thing look like they had been attacked and killed by a coyote during the night.
I don't even know what to say. That's so disgusting. But wait, so you said that blood from the fourth person was found at the scene? Do you think she was attacked and got away?
I'm not sure at this point, but I doubt it.
Do you think this could have been an act of a serial killer?
I don't, and I'll tell you why. For me, the fact that this took place in a gated community makes me believe that the killer knew the victims, and the victims all knew each other. They were all friends. That is rarely the case when a serial killer is involved. Usually the victims are unrelated to one another, and the killer doesn't have any relation to them. Also, this happened 6 years ago, and no other crime like this that could have been connected to this one has taken place since then. And serial killers usually strike more frequently. Of course, there are some known cases that have, as years have gone by, like the Zodiac killer back in the 60s, who did wait for 3 years between some of the killings. But I would say that is a rare exception.
I see. As you said before, you just started to look into this case. Can you tell us what your next steps are?
I will continue to go over all of the evidence and the records I've gotten from LAPD, and
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I gotta ask, do you feel if the police screwed up on this one?
no, not at all. Funny you should ask that because I get that question a lot. What people often don't understand is that the police are usually working on a tight schedule, where most detectives are working on multiple cases and have no, extra time or resources, so no.
Okay.
Where was I again? Oh, yes. My next steps are that I will continue to go over everything I already have in my hands and to see if there's anything I think is unclear, and if so, what that might be. But my first instinct is to learn more about the fourth friend who wasn't found and her relationship to the other three.
So you consider her as a suspect?
I can't talk about that. Can you please stop recording? I have to take this. Olivia, the recording?
Sorry.
Hello? Yes, this is she. Okay. Oh my God. Where?
Is everything okay?
For the love of God, just tell me.
What is it?
It's George. George is dead.